We're talking about the split of Leon MacDonald and Scott Robertson. This is what Scott said during the week in his press conference. They just have different views and different coaching philosophies, and they both agreed it wasn't working, so they would part ways. Mills, did this news come as a shock to you?
I thought it did. I mean, 5 games in and already this, one positive out of it is the fact that they've got to the bottom of it and sort of, acted on it straight away. I thought they did outstandingly well in terms of doing that. But it's interesting when the pressure's sort of on in an environment like this, Jeff, that things sort of go a little bit pear-shaped in terms of the group itself, the coaching staff itself.
I think we all thought they had one too many coaches anyway, to be honest. Selectors, coaches, huge staff. We were wondering, whether the messages were going to be able to be heard when you've got so many voices. And when Scott Robertson, after 2 test matches in New Zealand, talks about the fact the team is not executing, not playing to the game plan that they're out there, they've come to this conclusion that they needed to reduce it down. They needed to change direction. They've tacked JK. I'm not necessarily surprised given the fact that they worked together briefly and it didn't carry on when they were down with the Crusaders. I look at it, for me, Kirsty, and go, you know what? It is a positive because you can't go to South Africa and have any distractions. No. If you want to beat the world champions, you have to do it. Your mind has to be 100% focused, and I think the players and the coaches can now do that because you cannot have any unrest in the camp.
Well, this is what Scott Robertson had to say in his documentary that he did before the Super Rugby season started.
And coaching with Leon, being successful with the 20s and, with Crusaders, he thinks different to me again. He's a little bit different. He sees things that everything that can go wrong. I see everything that go right. So we get somewhere in between.
He's the most personable person, we know that. Radio silence from Leon MacDonald, so we haven't heard from him this week. But these 2 men, JK, worked together at under-20s level at the Crusaders for a season. They've played together for a very long time. Why would they not make it work?
Well, I think for me personally, like every plan's good till you get a punch in the face, right, Mil? So pressure comes on. This is way different. We've seen also Razor under a little bit of pressure. He's won 9 in a row. Like, he has had the most winning coaching job at the Crusaders. He's come into this job, and if you don't perform, even if you win, it's not good enough. So the pressure goes on. I think that they have a different philosophy, right? And when you are an assistant coach like Leon was, you just have to shut up and get on with it, and you have to deliver what the head coach wants. That's all there is to it. Now, there is some conversation, and you agree to disagree and commit. But if you don't, it's pretty hard to get along because you have a different philosophy, Mills. And and I was really actually proud of them both. And I can only take it on what I saw. So they've been open and honest about it. They had a conflict, and one had to move on. Well,
we haven't heard from Leon MacDonald.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
so I'm taking it on face value, mate. I'm saying, OK, if this is the case, what do you think he got the sack?
Well, ultimately, I would have expected, if it was mutual, the fact there'd be no reason why not to have them together. And for hear from Leon MacDonald, the fact that, they haven't been able to work through it. This is a really expensive mistake for New Zealand rugby. If you think about how much, I think he was on a 4-year deal, they would have had to at least compensate Leon MacDonald for the commitment that he made, also the jobs that he turned down to take this opportunity on board.
Scotland, remember?
Scotland were on the radar looking for a coach. So I'm just saying is the fact that to me, they got themselves in the position when they interviewed for the coaches, all of a sudden there was this team of coaches that they had to demonstrate they could bring with them. Well, to me, did that mean they had to take all of them? I mean, I just think, like, we all talked about it, we had discussions, Mills. We felt there was a lot of people involved here. I want to now know who is selecting the outside backs, because that was Leon MacDonald's responsibility. And we've got about 9 of them in the squad. Who's now monitoring them? Who's taking their responsibility when it comes to those discussions? Because it was an unorthodox and a changing of the way that they manage and coach the All Blacks.
Yeah, so I took it a bit more on face value, and I thought it was a courageous decision if they have conflict. Because that conflict goes through the team, Mills. When the 2 coaches aren't getting on, you've got to show, like, one face out there. I also think that Leon has been a head coach for a long time now, and some people cannot be assistants. Like, Razor, for example, has a philosophy, and you would have to implement his philosophy. So if he has a philosophy as head coach to how he wants to attack, you have to implement that. And if you're not prepared to, there's going to be a lot of conflict. So I think it's been the best thing for the team and courageous.
Yeah,
expensive if you're NZR, Mills.
But timing's perfect in terms of what you've said, right? I mean, you don't need distractions going into South Africa. They could have easily said, well, let's just wait another couple of weeks. We'll go on tour and try and mend things there. But I suppose it comes back to the fact, who was going to compromise? Who was actually going to compromise within this big coaching group? And that's probably what it comes down to.
So was someone always going to go? It was just a matter of who?
I don't know, Kurt. I think that's a big call, right? Like, normally people will get through to the end of the season. They do that shitty 360 or whatever they call it. But before then, an old review, no, he's gone. So I honestly thought that you'd wait till the end of the season. That's why I think it's really courageous from both of them. Or if it's like you thought it might have played out, then it's incredibly courageous from Razor because, he's not waiting.
I suppose the other big thing as well, they took a lot of the Super Rugby coaches into this environment, right? And so that took a lot of depth. So what happens now in terms of Leon and his experience, and where does he go to now, considering he's not talking?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tim Horan says bring him over to the Wallabies and join Joe Schmidt's crew. Where would you like to see Leon end up, Jeff?
Well, Leon's a next All Black coach now, and they always get a job somewhere. Most of them are in Japan, aren't they? I mean, that's pretty much what happens. That he'll get an opportunity somewhere with all of his experience, whether it been with the Blues, whether it been with Tasman as a head coach, and he'll get his opportunity somewhere.
He'll be at international level, surely.
Well, you'd imagine so. But there still has to be question marks.
Yeah.
And he will get asked about that at some point. And wherever he goes next, they'll ask, what happened here? Why didn't it work?
I know what happened.
What happened?
He has an attacking philosophy that is not in line with Razor's. Full stop. He coached the Blues.
And did they not know that before they got bed together for the All Blacks?
But every strategy's perfect to get a punch in the face, Kirst. I said that at the beginning, right? So what's happened is Razor's had all these ideas and all these new ideas, and the honeymoon period was, this is going to work, Leon and I will get on, and we'll be able to work it out. He's a bit negative, I'm a bit positive, we'll work it out. Then the fire torch comes on you, and you don't.
Talking from experience.
Totally, I've been there 100 million times.
Is that why you got rid of Goldie?
Yeah, I didn't even employ him.
I didn't even get to see the torch.
Didn't get the interview. But it is really, really important. And I've been in situations where you're under so much pressure, and you need to have the people around you who you totally trust. Yeah. And if you ask the players that were coached, we had a bit of conflict within the coaches, and it just spreads like wildfire. So, I have been there, and it's horrible. And you need to be united. And if that's the case, it's courageous.
And like I said, that it's the right thing for right now. Like you said, they've had to make the hard decision.
But hang on a minute, we won one of the most biggest test matches in the last few years under duress. Under duress at South Africa and Johannesburg.
Years ago. And that was unbelievable. Yeah. Trust me, that was. I was there. The intensity around that test match where Ian Foster doesn't know whether he's got a job when he goes home. That was unbelievable.
Huge.
And we go back again, and I tell you what, the heat does not come out of this torch because this is the biggest test since the Rugby World Cup final for the All Blacks. They head to Johannesburg, to Ellis Park. It is one of the biggest tests of the year. The 36-man Rugby Championship squad has been named for the All Blacks. No Patrick Tuipulotu, no Stephen Pedofeta and no Ethan de Groot to travel to South Africa. Instead, Josh Lord, George Bauer and Harry Plummer have come in. So let's take a look at some players. 10 of those 36 players, so nearly a third of the squad, have never actually played rugby in the Republic before. This isn't just international rugby, this is Super Rugby as well. So when you look at this list, there's probably a couple of guys that are instantly going to start. One of those two locks, either Sam Darry, Josh Lord, Tamaiti Williams, most likely Cortez Ratima as well, and you could have others too. For you three who have been there and done that, JK, how hard is it to win matches in South Africa?
Oh, it's next level. So when I look at that list, I think that Sam Darry will play, and I think Ratima will come off the bench, and Tamaiti will play right. And it will be like, for Sam Darry, if he continues his growth, so he's been very good, right? But this is next level for him. It's so physical. I remember being in the crowd when Izzy scored that try late. So I took my family over, right? And my kids were crying because it was so intense. And they say, Dad, are you going to stand up for anthem? Yeah, we're all standing up. And it's just this electricity. Yeah. But then when you're on the field, it comes with the brutality of them just coming at you and coming at you and coming at you.
Yeah, sometimes you can't even think. I mean, it is. I mean, I mentioned at the start of the show, it's the best place to tour as a rugby player because the week, as soon as you land, the build-up. I mean, we think we're rugby mad here in New Zealand. They are crazy over there. You go to the game. I mean, I was playing that game that you're talking about with Izzy at Cold Park. This is Ellis Park. This is the next level. You come in on the bus, and I have fond memories of that. You come in and you've got the police escort, and then you come down that main centre, and the bus just stops, and you're getting things thrown at the bus is rocking, and then you go out and, man, you have to perform in front of a crowd like that.
Fond memories? I've got no fond memories of playing there, none whatsoever, because the intensity it brings, the difficulty, like you say, from the moment the bus arrives. And this is a Rugby World Cup final in 1995, but this is an event for them. This is everything about Springbok rugby they're trying to defend. This is their most hostile crowd. And when you think about, this is the 95 World Cup final here, you think about what it means to them. I'm looking at the other side of it now and what it means to so many of these All Blacks who are going to South Africa, who were part of the Rugby World Cup final last year, who believe they were better last year, that should have won a Rugby World Cup final. He went through adversity, and I think we've got some guys who want some redemption. Yeah. They'll want to go there and make a statement to that Springbok squad who won that Rugby World Cup, where most of them are there. The fact that maybe you were a little bit lucky, maybe you had some good fortune. That'll wind my friends up in South Africa. I understand that, but maybe
fortune?
They had some good fortune.
We had a yellow card.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. We had our opportunity.
And a red card.
But hold on. That's
what I mean.
If you're Sam Cane, and I think we'll play Sam Cane Mills. If you're Sam Cane, if you're Geordie Barrett, who had a chance to get the All Blacks in front, if you're Scott Barrett, I'm looking at this, Cody Taylor. You're looking at this. You'll look at this and remember this and go, we were so close to the holy grail of the game. I think this is why it's so important to this group.
Yeah, and the fact you throw in those young names, and only a handful of them will probably play. I mean, I think that's exciting as well because they haven't sort of experienced what it is, how hard it is to win over there. They'll be excited by that challenge.
Do you agree? Do you think Sam Cane will start? What is the All Blacks' mindset over there? Do they go with the most experienced team, the most expansive team? What are you doing for your 23?
Well, you mentioned brutality. I think you need someone that's going to, sit guys, hopefully sit guys on their backsides, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to get the mindset right when you go in there. Sam Cane for me as well. I think I'll have to agree with that. I think he's in good nick. He's come back. He's refreshed. He'll be highly motivated after the Rugby World Cup final. And defensively, especially in those when you're tackling those big buggers, you need someone that's going to sit them back.